It is Friday evening at the lake place. There is a walleye on the cutting board in front of you, a decent one, maybe 17 inches, and you have been working on it for 10 minutes. There is meat stuck all over the rib cage. There is a fillet on the plate shaped like the state of Oklahoma. And tonight at the supper table, somebody is going to pull a bone out of their mouth, set it on the edge of the plate, and give you that look. Meanwhile, you have stood at the fish cleaning house and watched some old boy in a flannel shirt go through a whole stringer of perch before his coffee got cold. Fillets so clean they looked store-bought. Same fish, pretty near the same knife. So what does he know that you don't? The answer surprised me when my grandpa first showed me on the flowage. Speed has nothing to do with a fast hand. It comes from making fewer cuts. And stay with me to the end because the biggest time saver of all is one step you are doing every single time that the old fish house boys never do at all. I would bet money it is the first thing anybody ever taught you about cleaning a fish, and leaving it out is the whole trick. I'm Donna Larsen. I'm 52 years old, I live in the Northwoods of Wisconsin, and I grew up summers in my grandfather's boat on the flowage, walleye openers, muskie trips, and the ice shanty every winter. My dad Ray had me in a deer stand before I was 8, and between those two men I learned to put up my own meat, start to finish. My freezer fills with venison and walleye every single year, and I have filleted every fish I have kept since I was a girl. Now let's be honest about what the slow way costs you because it is more than time. When you saw straight through the rib cage and pick the ribs out of the fillet afterward, you leave meat behind twice. Once on the carcass and once on the bones you cut out. On a good walleye, that can add up to a quarter of the meat. Do that all summer and you have thrown away a cooler's worth of the best eating fish that swims. And walleye is not cheap eating to replace. At the supper club where I tended bar for 20 years, a walleye dinner runs better than $20 a plate, when they can even get it. The usual fix is equipment. Folks buy an electric knife or a $40 fillet knife with a fancy handle, and then they make the same wrong cuts just faster. The problem lives in the order of the cuts, and that is free to fix. There are exactly 3 cuts on each side of a fish, and once your hands learn them, a walleye takes about 2 minutes. 2 minutes for the whole fish, both sides, skinned. I am going to show you all 3 cuts in order, nice and slow, and then the bone check that makes sure nobody at your table ever gets that look again. And keep that skipped step in the back of your mind, because it is coming near the end, and it is the reason the old boy's cleaning table wipes down in one pass, while yours looks like you lost a fight. Now, before we pick up the knife, let me tell you where the rest of this kind of knowledge lives at my house. Today's lesson is fish house schooling from my grandpa. The Deerwood side of it, everything my dad Ray and the old-timers handed me across 44 seasons, I wrote down in a book called Donna's Whitetail Bible. 101 field-tested tricks to stop going home empty-handed. It is written for hunters who already do the basics right and still eat tag soup, and it works through the problems that actually cost you deer. Turning those 2 a.m. trail camera bucks into daylight shots. Figuring out why a stand that always produced suddenly went dead. Cheap field substitutes for the expensive gadgets in the catalogs. It is $17 right now, marked down from $47, and that is less than 1 tank of gas to the lease. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera, the same one you use to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up, give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you're watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time, there is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. All right, friend, rinse your hands off and let's get a fish on the board. First, the knife. You want a fillet knife with a thin, flexible blade about 6 inches long. 6 inches, thin and bendy. Mine came from the hardware store for about $15, and it has cleaned more fish than most guides. Flexible matters more than fancy because the blade has to bend and ride along bone. Sharp matters more than anything else. A sharp knife follows the bones for you. A dull knife wanders off into the meat. Touch the edge up on a cheap sharpening stone before every cleaning session. Take your time with that stone. There is no rush. Second, the setup. Work on a cold fish. A cold fish is firm, and firm flesh cuts clean, so keep your catch on ice right up until the minute you clean it. Lay a damp towel flat on the counter. Set your cutting board on top of the towel so it cannot slide. Lay the fish on its side with the back toward you. And take your safety rule from the deer woods because it is the same one. Every cut in this method moves away from your holding hand. That is not an accident. The old-timers built it that way so a slip costs you nothing but a scratch on the board. Now, the 3 cuts. Cut number 1 goes right behind the gill plate. Lift the pectoral fin, that little side fin behind the gills, and lay your blade just behind it, angled slightly toward the head. Cut down until you feel the blade touch the backbone. Then stop. Do not cut through the spine. You will feel the backbone plain as day, a solid stop, like tapping the edge of a table. Cut number 2 is the long one, and it is where the meat gets saved or wasted. Turn the blade flat so the edge points at the tail. Rest the knife right on top of the backbone. Now slice toward the tail with long, smooth strokes and let the backbone steer the blade. You are not pushing down. You are following. When the blade reaches the rib cage, slow down because this is the exact spot where everybody goes wrong. Do not saw through those ribs. Instead, lift the tip of the blade just a hair and let the edge ride up and over the curve of the rib cage with short, gentle strokes, staying tight to the bone. You will hear a soft ticking as the edge passes over each rib. That ticking is the sound of meat you are keeping. Once you are past the ribs, drop the blade back down to the backbone and finish the stroke toward the tail. Stop about 1 inch before the tail, 1 inch. Leave the fillet attached right there. That is on purpose, and you will see why in a few seconds. Cut number 3 is the skin cut, and this is the part that makes folks think you have done this your whole life. Flip the fillet over the tail so it lies skin, side down on the board, still attached by that inch of skin. That little tab is your handle. Pin the tail down with your thumb. Lay the blade flat between the meat and the skin, angled just slightly down toward the board. Now hold the knife nearly still and pull the skin gently side to side underneath the blade. Work the fish, not the knife. The skin peels away in one piece and the fillet stays whole. One side done. Flip the fish over and make the same 3 cuts on the other side. So gather that up before we go on. Cut 1 goes down behind the gill. Cut 2 rides along the backbone and over the ribs. Cut 3 frees the skin off that tail tab. Down, along, over. Say it to yourself while you work. Now, an honest word about the 2 minutes, because I promise not to oversell you. Your first fish tonight might take 10 minutes, and that is fine. Your 10th will take 5. Somewhere around your 50th fish, your hands will know the map without your eyes, and you will look up from a finished walleye with the coffee still hot. And this map is not just for walleye. Perch, crappie, bluegill, bass, trout, every freshwater fish in your lake is built on the same frame. A backbone down the middle and a rib cage around the belly. Small panfish just mean a shorter cut too. The map never changes, only the size of the country. And we are getting close now to the step the old boys skip. So hold on to that thought. But first, the bone check. Because no bones was the promise, and I keep my promises at the cleaning table. Lay each fillet skin side down. Run your fingertips slowly from the thick front end toward the tail, pressing gently as you go. On a walleye or a perch cut this way, you may feel 1 short row of little pin bones up near the front third of the fillet. If you feel them, make 2 shallow angled cuts, 1 down each side of that row like carving out a skinny letter V, and lift the whole strip away. You lose a piece of meat about the size of a pencil, and you gain a fish fry where nobody gives you that look. Then run your fingers down the fillet one more time. If it does not prick your thumb, it will not prick your granddaughter. A quick word for you northern pike men. Pike carry a second row in there called Y bones, and those are their own sermon. I will get to them, I promise. And before that carcass goes in the bucket, do not walk away from the cheeks. On any walleye worth keeping, there is a coin of meat on each cheek, right below the eye. Slip the tip of your knife under the skin there and pop out that little scallop. Grandpa always kept those for himself in a separate bag, and once you taste one seared in butter, you will know exactly why. Sweet as 2 bites on the whole fish, and most folks throw them in the gut bucket. Last bit of housekeeping. Rinse your fillets quick in cold water and pat them dry with paper towels. Dry is the word, friend. A fillet frozen wet comes out of the freezer as mush. Wrap the meat tight in plastic, then freezer paper or a bag with the air pressed out, and write the date and the lake right on the package. A shelf of neat white packages dated and labeled. That is what a good summer looks like in my freezer right next to the venison. And now the part I promised you at the very start. The step you do every single time that the old fish house boys never do at all. You gut the fish first. Stop doing that. When you fillet a fish the way I just showed you, the knife never enters the belly. Think about the path the blade traveled. Down behind the gill to the backbone, along the backbone, up and over the outside of the rib cage. That rib cage is a wall, and everything you do not want near your supper stays sealed behind it. The guts never come out. The knife never touches them. Nothing sour or bitter ever gets near that clean white meat. That is the whole mechanism. Gutting got taught as step 1, because that is how you ready a fish you plan to cook whole. And somewhere along the line, it got glued onto every fish lesson in America. But when you are filleting, gutting first costs you 5 minutes, a mess across your whole board, and a real chance of dragging a dirty blade out of the gut cavity and straight across your fillet. The old boys at the cleaning house skip it entirely. 3 cuts aside, the carcass goes in the bucket in one piece, guts and all, and the table wipes down with a single pass of the rag. That is where the 2 minutes comes from. 3 cuts aside, 1 whole step gone, and nothing done twice. 1 honest note before you run down to the dock with a knife in your hand. Some states want a fish kept whole, or want a patch of skin left on the fillet, until you are off the water or back home, so the warden can tell the species and the size. Check your own state's rules before you clean fish anywhere but your kitchen. 5 minutes on your state's website beats a fine and a ruined afternoon. And that right there is the kind of thing the old-timers handed me for free. And it is exactly why I wrote the book. Donna's Whitetail Bible holds 101 tricks just like that one. But for the deer woods, pulled from 44 seasons of learning what actually fills a tag. Plain talk, no gear ads, no $400 gadgets. It is $17, down from $47, which is less than 1 gadget that never worked. And it is how you put venison in the freezer next to tonight's walleye. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera, the same one you used to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up, give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you are watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time. There is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. So remember the map, friend? 3 cuts aside, down, along, and over, skin it off the tail tab, check for bones with your fingertips, and never gut a fish you plan to fillet. Now tell me this. Did your dad or your grandpa have a fish cleaning trick all his own? Share it below, because those little tricks are exactly the ones worth keeping when the men who taught them are gone. I read every single one. Next time, I am going to show you the 5 cuts the old guides used to pull every last Y bone out of a northern pike, so you can finally eat the best fighting fish in the lake that everybody is too scared to clean. Keep your wind right and your coffee hot, and I'll see you in the woods.